Hello, my name is Sage onyxs-garden or Hayden. You can call me whichever of the four. This is not a reaction video for once. I know, right? It's been a while since I've yapped. Anyway, it's been a while since I've yapped. What was the last one? I think it was me talking about Yotha and Pfeiffer from Perfect Ten-Liners. And trust, I'll get back to part two inevitably whenever I finish writing that script. However, I saw someone on TikTok doing a video of BLs that everyone seemed to love that they didn't like on TikTok. However, I figured it's been a while since I yapped, so why not post something similar, but in YouTube form? Because what else am I gonna do at 9:34 p.m. on a Sunday night? You know? So, let's go. Also, before I say anything, my Love You Teacher episode 5 reaction does not exist and I could not film it because of reasons. But it's fine. Only Friends Dream On episode 7 is currently under review, so that'll hopefully be up tomorrow. But anyway, we're gonna go now. Okay, I don't have any notes written for this like I have the last Yap videos I've done. Except I have in my Google Keep all of the shows that I wanted to talk about. These are strictly Thai BL, but there is probably going to be a time where I'm like, this video isn't long enough, so I'm gonna add probably a Japanese BL, a Korean BL, Taiwanese BLs, we'll see. But anyway, I'm gonna shut up about that and we're gonna start. Okay, so the first one we have is, I've mentioned this one time before, I believe, in my series I'm most excited for, where I was talking about Barcode. Anyway, the first one on here is KinnPorsche the series. I know, I feel like this one is a little surprising because everyone fucking loves the series. Will I ever understand why anyone likes the show? No, and I don't plan to. But anyway, so I'm gonna start. I'm awful at explaining things, so I don't know how this is gonna go, but we're gonna try it anyway. So, when it comes to KinnPorsche, I watched all 14 weeks, right? During summer school, going into senior year of high school, I'm out here at my little PE credits, like, thing every day, like, whatever fucking day it came out, it doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. With my phone, just, like, watching the show. Okay? So I forced myself to get through this horrendous show for 14 weeks. Anyway, because this is before, I realized that I have free will, and I can drop a series if I don't like it. But anyway, so basically, when I walked into the show, I knew it was Mafia. That was it. I knew it was Mafia, and I was like, oh, cool, Mafia. I think at this point I've seen, like, a few, maybe, Mafia series. Possibly. I think one of them was a Taiwanese one, and then one of them I think might have been Never Let Me Go. I'm actually not sure when KinnPorsche came out. Oh well. Was it 2023? I feel like it was in 2023. July 9th, 2022 is when this aired. So anyway, this shit was in July. Was I in summer school in July? Oh well. Well, I know I was, because I remember watching this. Anyway, I have a microphone, and I'm not close enough to it. Anyway, what was I saying? Alright, so anyway, I walked into this series knowing that it was going to be Mafia. That was it. I think I saw, like, one or two Mafias before this. I think Never Let Me Go. No, Never Let Me Go came out after this, I'm sorry. Never Let Me Go came out in December. I think I watched, like, Be Loved in House I Do. Maybe. Possibly. I don't fucking remember. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway. So, like, I knew this was going to be Mafia, and I was excited because I was like, oh, I live, laugh, love my little university high school BLs. I eat that shit up, and I still eat that shit up to this day. And I will forever eat that shit up. But I was like, oh, interesting. I was, unfortunately, severely disappointed in this series. After about episode 4, I think. Maybe. And my main reason for why I think KinnPorsche is probably one of the worst Thai BLs to exist is because it straight up just romanticized assault. That's kind of it. That's the entire thing. And maybe you can be like, oh, well, there's, like, definitely a story and, like, characters and stuff like that and, like, character depth. I don't give a fuck about character depth. I've never given a fuck about character depth in a BL unless it's never let me go. Okay? Unless it's never let me go. Perfect Inliners. Fucking Only Friends Dream On. Or I guess just Only Friends in general. And Belong With You. Okay? I could not give less of a fuck about the character depth in KinnPorsche. Why? Because it's still... I don't give a fuck. Also, they're really... What's the character depth? Vegas? That's it? That's the only character depth we get is Vegas. Okay? Anyway. I'm watching the show. I'm vibing. Blah, blah, blah. I'm doing my own thing. Whatever. Hi, Lucy. Whatever. You know, I'm vibing, doing my shit. I'm like, oh yeah, this was really good. This is really entertaining. It's kind of funny. Ha, 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 ha. Right. And then, I don't know what episode it was. But I think it was episode 5. Possibly. I don't know. It was whenever the bitches got stranded in, like, the fucking middle of nowhere. Whatever it was. I think it was, like, episode 5 or 6, anyway. After that, the entire series just went downhill for me. I don't remember if the straight up assault happened before this or after this. I think it might have been before. Possibly. I don't know. I don't really care. But that's kind of the whole, that's, the reason I watch BL is for this romance, not for drama. Okay? I don't care about drama in BL. I'm watching this to watch people fall in love because I will never experience the purest form of love that these people get to be a part of in these shows, right? So I don't give a fuck about the drama. I don't give a fuck about the character arcs. I don't give a fuck about this shit. I'm not watching this shit for the plot. I'm watching this shit to watch two boys kiss. I'm gonna be so real here. I'm watching this shit to watch two boys fall in love. Because I will never have that. You know what I mean? Okay. Right. So if you're... So, with the potential that this series had, and it has so much potential, you know, and then it went, boom, Kin assaults Porsche. Boom, Vegas attempts to assault Porsche. One thing I'm never going to understand is why Vegas has so many defenders. And the only reason I know he has defenders, for the most part, is because Bible's hot. Like, yeah, Bible is fine as fuck. Like, I'm not gonna say he's ugly. He's fine as hell. Okay, most BL actors are fine as fuck. Okay, most BL actors are fine as hell. Okay, Bible is hot. Bible is a very attractive person. Okay, but the thing is, Bible is attractive, not Vegas. Okay, yeah, Vegas is, his looks are, his looks, yeah, but he's also an offender. He also kidnapped someone. You know? And it's like, I'm like watching this. You know? I'm watching this. You know, maybe this happened before the whole kiss scene. Or the whenever Kin and Porsche got, like, stranded. I don't know. But basically, I'm watching this. You know, I was under the impression when I started the series that Vegas was going to be my favorite character. That was my mindset. I was like, oh, Vegas is going to be my favorite character. Cool. Actually, no, he's just the worst character overall. Him and Kin are actually even. I hate them both. They're both awful people. I'll never understand the love for Vegas Pete. I will never understand the love for KinnPorsche, the ship, nor the series. Because why are we forgetting that KinnPorsche's relationship was built off of SA? And I know that during the series, everyone was like, well, it's rated, like, 21 plus, or whatever the fuck the rating was. Does it have a rating on MDL? Yeah, I rated this shit a 0.5 star. Anyway, 15 plus or older is crazy work. That should not be rated 15 plus or older, but whatever. I swear that it was rated like 21 plus or something, or maybe that's what everyone was saying in 2022. I don't remember. And like there was an argument going around while like it was actively airing, and it was like, well, what do you expect from a Mafia series? Like, oh, blah 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 blah. Like, what do you expect? It's Mafia. Okay, that doesn't mean I have to like it. That doesn't mean I have to be okay with it happening. Like, that doesn't mean I have to be, like, that doesn't mean I'm gonna ignore the fact that it happened. I could have gotten past Vegas being an offender and not getting the chance to do whatever the fuck he wanted to do with Porsche, because here's your reminder, he did in fact drug him. He did in fact roofie his ass so he could essay him, but whatever. I could have gotten past that because I'm like, yeah, that's the thing that's gonna happen. Yeah, it's not cool, it's not good, I don't agree with it, but it is a thing that's gonna happen. I could have gotten away with that perfectly fine. Right? But then we have Kinn saving Porsche from Vegas and then doing the same shit to Porsche that Vegas was going to do with Porsche, except he succeeded. Because Porsche was high out of his mind. You know? And then Vegas Pete. Why do we like Vegas Pete? That's Stockholm Syndrome. I'm sorry, that's what that is. It's Stockholm Syndrome. And you can defend it and be like, well, Pete went back to Vegas. Yeah, because he's Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome. He kidnapped him. And then it's like, aw, Vegas and his hedgehog. Bitches were for real acting like Vegas was some ooh fragile, like, innocent, like, fucking, like, 10-year-old boy. Like, 10-year-old baby. With, aw, look at him and his little hedgehog. Shut the fuck up, that's a grown man. That's a grown man. That's a grown man who tried to assault his fucking cousin's boyfriend. Also, there were bitches shipping Vegas and Porsche. Not that I'm surprised. But there were bitches shipping Vegas and Porsche. After that scene. Afterwards. Being like, oh, well, Vegas would treat Porsche right. Vegas is the reason that Porsche got assaulted in the first place. Anyway. And then we have the whole, Vegas character depth. A character who, likes to take advantage of another man, or anyone in general, does not deserve character arcs or character depth. There is no character redemption there. There is no character redemption. Okay? If they just kind of left him, and I don't give a fuck that this is based off the book. I know this is based off a book. The book can go fuck itself. I don't care. It's whatever. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Right? Like, they could have just not had that, and Vegas would have been fine. Vegas would have been fine if he just, like, put people 6 feet under. Okay? Anyway. What else do we have about Vegas? Oh, yeah. Everyone started sympathizing with him because he has daddy issues. Cool, a lot of other people have daddy issues, and they don't do that. A lot of other BL characters have had daddy issues, and they don't do that to their partners. And I know, again, this is based off a book. The book shouldn't exist then. The book shouldn't exist. But again, people like this because they like to fetishize two men. Anyway, Vegas doesn't... Why are we feeling bad for Vegas? Oh, well, he has daddy issues. Okay, fucking and? And? So? Sucks for him? I'm not gonna, like... like, discredit him for being a victim of, like, parental abuse, because he is one. But this is a case of the abused becomes the abuser. He still abused Pete. He still abused Porsche. Like, I don't feel bad that his dad smacked a fucking plate out of his hand when he was walking to feed it to the bitch he fucking kidnapped. Oh, tragedy. Tragedy, bitch, go make another one. Anyway, is that all for KinnPorsche? I think that's all I have to say with KinnPorsche. Aside from the fact that I also just don't fuck with the company, which I have talked about before. I don't fuck with BOC. I saw a video about... This is not the topic of KinnPorsche. I saw a video earlier on Instagram Reels, and it was like, oh, it's like something about Billy Babe. I don't know. I've never seen Billy Babe in anything. I think they're in Interminable or something, and sign the sign or something like that. I don't know what it's called. I don't think it's the sign. Is it the sign? I almost said the 8th sense, but that's incorrect. The sign, yeah. Okay, the sign with Billy Babe. I don't know if Billy Babe are a pair still or not, so I'm sorry if they're not, and I reopened that one. I have no idea. I do not keep up with, Idol Factory, except Saint, so. But anyway. But I saw a video, and it was like, it was something about, like, Billy Babe, and I don't remember. I don't know. And the comments were like, oh, they should go to BOC. No actor should be in BOC. I'm so fucking sorry. BOC needs to be shut the fuck down. BOC needs to be shut the fuck down. Like, BOC needs to be shut the fuck down. No one needs to go there. Okay, everyone needs to leave. Okay, cool. Yeah. Mile Appo, get your asses out of there. Go find a different company. Please, I beg of you. I don't know what, go to fucking WeTV or something, or 1D, is that what it's called? Is that a company? I don't know. Go to WeTV, or whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know, whatever my stand-in company, whatever company my stand-in's from, do that. Trust, y'all are better off there. Anyway, also, I would like to say, I'm not discrediting Mile and Appo's acting, or Bible's acting. I don't have an issue with their acting. I think they're great, but that doesn't mean I agree with anything that happened in the series, and I do think the series is genuinely horrible. And aside from the consistent romanticized grape in it, it's really boring. After the whole, like, after they get stranded, I think, again, I do not remember if this whole, like essay roofing scene happened before or after that, the whatever the fuck they got stranded, but I'm going to say it's after that, I believe. I don't know. I believe after, in my personal opinion, after the episode where they got stranded, the entire series just went down from there, and it became one of the most boring things I've ever watched in my entire life. So, yeah, again, Mile Appo, y'all are great actors. I've only seen y'all in KinnPorsche, so that is my only perception of y'all. But I'm sure y'all are doing great. I know that they have I think it was a movie. Was it a movie? They had something called Shine. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I won't watch it. Because, again, it's by BOC, and I don't watch anything from BOC anymore. But anyway, I think that was it for KinnPorsche. Okay, I feel like that was... I don't know how long this video is going to be, by the way. My guess, 45 plus minutes, maybe an hour. Because I'm 19 minutes into this first clip. But it's fine. It's fine, okay? My fucking OFDO reactions are like an hour and 30 minutes long sometimes, so it's fine. Anyway, what series do we have next? Should I just go with the second BOC series? Or should I go in order? We're gonna go with the second BOC series, I guess, to get it out of the way, since we're on the topic of BOC anyway. Dead Friend Forever. Okay, so I found out about Dead Friend Forever like 3 episodes in because I saw a TikTok about it. I don't remember what the TikTok was. It was 2023, I think, is when that shit came out. Oh, also, still on the topic of KinnPorsche really quick, I also don't like the fact that they paired up, a 16-year-old with a almost 30-year-old. Anyway, I think they're weird with their ships. I think they're really weird for that. Because what do you mean that this dude is older than Bible? Anyway, no offense. I also feel like I should preface, I don't have anything against Jeff. I respect that man to all hell, but I do have issues with the company he was under. He's no longer there though. And also, no, I won't be watching Wuju Bakery. Sorry, I won't be watching Wuju Bakery. I don't care about Wuju Bakery. I'm sick of seeing it everywhere. Anyway, when did Dead Friend Forever come out? 2023. Okay, yeah. So, I saw like a couple TikTok videos about OFDO, and I was like, oh my god, Barcode is not paired up with someone who's almost 30? Again, love you, Jeff. I'm sure you're great. I don't keep up with Jeff, but I'm sure he's great. I'm happy for him that he got on the Zach Sang show. Anyway, basically, I really liked Dead Friend Forever until, again, it went downhill. Do I remember what episode it was? No. But it was the episode where, what is his name? Ton? Something? What was Barcode's character's name? Babes, what is his name? Non. Not Ton. I was close. Kind of. Non. Where we were getting, I was like really interested in Non's storyline with P, and I was like, oh, they're so cute. Again, I didn't know what this was. This was a horror series, but I was really confused because I did start this, and then it was like P, it was fucking, what's his name? What's P, Ta. It was Ta and Copper, which, Copper's no longer in BOC, everyone. Clap! I found out he wasn't in BOC when I recently watched Domundi Friendship Season 3. Anyway, live, laugh, love, Copper FIFA. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So, I was really confused watching this series at first in the first episode, because I was like, okay, so I was like, okay, cool. P and Jin, that's nice, love that, cool. But then we were getting, like, the flashbacks or whatever the fuck was going on there, and we got, like, P and Non, and I was very confused, and I was like, wait, what's happening? And then I feel like, though, I do feel like maybe one of the reasons I don't like the series, aside from the main reason, is because I was just so fucking confused the entire time, and I didn't understand what was going on, but, again, when it comes to me, I am horrible at understanding what the fuck is happening in anything I ever watch. So, it could be the most straightforward thing ever, and I will not understand it. So I was really confused because it was like, okay, so P and Jin and then Non and P, and I was low-key really fucking rooting for Non and P. I was like, oh my god, they're so cute. Ta and Barcode are really cute. And I was like, oh, well, maybe if Ta and Barcode continue to be a fixed pair, then maybe I'll continue watching the stuff they're in. But then luckily Barcode left left BOC, so it's fine. I don't know what Ta's doing. Did he also leave BOC? So okay, so basically half the KinnPorsche cast left BOC. Mile Appo, go to WeTV. Oh yeah, Dead Friend Forever. I thought this series was really interesting, and I did, like, I was so interested that I looked into it to see if there was a novel for it, because I was like, oh, you know, like, I'll read the novel for it, because it seems really good. Reminder, I watched this for Barcode specifically. I'm gonna be so honest here, the reason I stayed for KinnPorsche was because of Barcode and Persthenkun. The reason I watched, Dead Friend Forever was because of Barcode. Okay, that's all, that's it. I thought it was really good, it was really interesting. The storyline was confusing as fuck, and convoluted as hell. Is convoluted the right word? With my tiny ass brain, we're gonna call it convoluted. Anyway, this, like, whole whatever the fuck, right? This is a series where I actually give a fuck about characters, and character arcs, and, not character arcs, character depths. Ergo, Non, I will defend Non until the day I fucking die. Okay, because that man did not deserve. Sorry, that boy, that 16-year-old, didn't deserve any of the shit he went through. You know what? Fuck P. I'm I'm pretty sure. Did P die? Whatever. Anyway, back to the saying because I'm gonna keep getting sidetracked, and this is already 30 minutes long. Anyway, I did watch the entire series. I will say that I'm not gonna be fake and say, well, I didn't finish it because it was so bad. No, I did. Because again, this was before I realized that I have free will, because I kind of forget that I have free will sometimes when it comes to BL. And I could just not finish it if I don't want to. But anyway, when this series started going downhill for me was when we got Non, a part of Non's backstory, where we had the whole situation with his teacher, which I'm not gonna go into detail with because this is YouTube. And I feel like I'm already gonna get flagged or something. I don't know. The thing that happened with this teacher. Because, again, BOC, what the fuck was that? Why would you do that? And I am fully aware that stuff like that happens IRL. I'm fully aware of that. I understand that. My problem with that happening is it's portrayed like we're supposed to be okay with it happening. It's filmed in a way that is so fucking disturbing, but you know that the directors, or BOC, was giggling behind the scenes and being like, oh my god, the fans are gonna love this. The fans are gonna love this scene. Oh my god, because it's spicy. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about that. I did watch the end of it. I didn't think it was boring, but I do think it went downhill from the whole teacher situation. But then the ending was really cheesy because it was literally, it gave me like Goosebumps vibes. But I feel like if I say that, that's an insult to Goosebumps, because Goosebumps is actually good, but then again, it is kids' horror. Because like the ending where it was like P and Non talking, and it was like, I think the plot was like, plot twist, P also is now 6 feet under. I thought that was really dumb, but I think I was laughing my ass off at the end of that episode. I was like, you're gonna do this shit, and then you're just gonna be like, plot twist, P's been dead. Anyway, next we have the Eclipse. I don't hate this. I'm gonna start this off by saying I don't hate the series. I don't hate any series GMMTV has ever produced, but there are a few in like from GMMTV specifically that I find really boring or are not my cup of tea. The Eclipse is one of them, along with three others from GMMTV. Okay, so I don't think the Eclipse is horrible. I don't think the Eclipse is bad. I understand wholeheartedly why it's a lot of people's favorites and how a lot of people relate to it. And I think that maybe if I was a kind of person who could relate to these characters, who could relate to a series, then I would adore this series. But I, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I'm not sure, do not relate to any character from any kind of media I've ever consumed. If, like, example, if I related to, I'm so sorry, I think First played Ack, but I could be so wrong. Okay, he did. Okay, yeah. I feel like if I could relate to Ack, then maybe I could enjoy the series, or something of the sort. Related to literally any character whatsoever, I guess. You know what I mean? I do not think this series is awful. I do not hate it. I do not think it is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. When it comes to GMMTV, there is not a series that they've produced that I've watched that I think is genuinely the worst thing ever. There are others from other companies. GMMTV knows what they're doing for the most part when it comes to BL. Not to praise GMMTV, but although I do have my gripes about what GMMTV is currently doing with OnlyFriends. But I just thought this series was boring. Again, nothing. I'm not gonna flame you for liking the series. This is one of the series that I'm not going to flame you for liking. I want to say though here, I am not like. Does Cow First have a fandom? Let me type in First Cow Tong. Because if I type in Cow First, it's not gonna work. I'm not a Som. I wouldn't consider myself in the Cow First fandom. I do, however, eat up every series they're in aside from the Eclipse. I loved them in. They were my favorite ship in OnlyFriends. Loved them in OnlyFriends. I feel like you can tell that by, my reactions every time they show up in the fucking season 2. I love them so much. I never finished the Heart Killers. Bison Can't was my favorite in that. Loved Fidel style, but Bison Can't was my favorite ship in that as well. Are they in anything after that before Cat for Cash? I don't think so. I adore Cat for Cash. Cat for Cash is added to my comfort series on MDL. It's added to my favorite series on MDL because I adore CalFirst. I think they're great. I think they're amazing. I adore them. They're so good. I'm so happy. I'm so happy for them. I'm so proud how far they've come. I love cats, if you can tell. I just don't think the Eclipse is something for me. I have a wholehearted understanding about why everyone loves it so much, and why it's a lot of people's favorites, and why it made a lot of people cry, and how certain people can relate to certain characters. It's not my cup of tea. I didn't like it very much. I found it really, maybe it's just because I'm not into slow burn. And if I'm remembering correctly, the Eclipse was really slow burn, and I'm not a slow burn fan. I'm not a slow burn romance type of boy. So this is from me. This is Lovesea. This is the Lovesea Thai version plus the Japanese version. I also don't like the Japanese version. We'll get into that. When it comes to Me Mind Why, I like their shows. I really liked Don't Say No. Don't Say No was one of my favorite series for the longest time. I have an issue with the author of these books, though. I don't like her. That's for sure. I never have. Just because I think she is she does some questionable shit in her stuff. But anyway. I think my two critiques I have for Lovesea is, one, that I thought it was really fucking boring, and two, it was too freaky for my taste. And I am not a person. If they're getting freaky in the second episode, then I'm like, what the fuck? The only exception I have for that is Pit Babe. Because that's the thing that they do. Babe and Charlie are just kind of hooking up. That's the whole thing. That's how it starts. You know what I mean? So with Pit Babe, it's different. And I love Pit Babe. Pit Babe is one of my favorite series. Lovesea and the series is built up to start out, is built to be this obviously spicy romance, because it wouldn't be a series written by, it wouldn't be written by Mame if it wasn't spicy. Aside from Love by Chance. Love by Chance is the only exception to that, but then again, Mame actually knew it. I'm not going to praise that woman. Love by Chance, the series is good. I'm going to state that here. Love by Chance, the series is one of the greatest series I've ever seen. We don't talk about the second season, though. Pit Babe, it starts out with them, hooking up. So that's why I can get by it, immediately starting. like that. But when we have Lovesea, where it's like this is supposed to be romance first, like it's built up to be like, oh well, they fall in love, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then it's like boom, second episode, they're getting freaky on the beach. Like, oh, this is supposed to be romance, and then it's like boom, they're getting freaky in the second episode on the beach. And I think that's maybe because the other series in this, that I consider the main verse, although Lovesea's in the main verse, it for sure, but it's not in like the TharnType universe, which, where, aside from TharnType, okay, if we want to get, let's talk about this little universe for a second. Aside from TharnType, right, the other series, so Love by Chance, Love in the Air, Don't Say No, right, and I think Boy Next World. I haven't finished Boy Next World. Trust, I'll get there eventually. I thought Lovesea was really boring, aside from the whole, like, it was too freaky for my liking. I say that as if Love in the Air wasn't one of my favorite BLs for, like, 2.5 years. But, then again, Love in the Air didn't start off with them hooking up. Anyway. Aside from the whole, it was, like, just too freaky for my liking, like, right off the bat. I'm not a person who likes freaky shit in BL. Like, I'm not a person into, like, that's just not my shit, that's not my vibe. If that's your vibe, that's cool, that's not my vibe. Okay, I would much rather watch a series where there's no smut, no spice, no, like, full-on, like, writing than anything like that, you know what I mean? Hence, like, the occasion of it being, like, there is spicy shit, because I do understand that couples do, you know, sleep with each other. I just thought Lovesea was really fucking boring, and the only highlight, I have 2 highlights from the entirety of Lovesea. The Boss No cameo, and the lesbian side couple. And, like, there were times where I was like, oh, this show is really interesting, oh, this is so fun. And then it just kind of went downhill, and I was just like, oh, this shit is boring as fuck. Just really fucking boring. Thank you, Lucy. I don't think I literally have anything else to say, other than it was boring. I feel like it was a waste of my time. What was it, 12 episodes? I assume, or 13? 13? 12? 10, sorry. I was 4 episodes off. 10 episodes. Probably the worst 10 weeks of my life. Really, not the worst, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Obviously, it's not the worst thing. And it's definitely not the worst series that Mame has written. Or I guess that's been adapted by her. Or, like, from her novels. I can't say anything for the novel, because for all I know, Mahasuma could have, like, done shit to Tograk when he was unconscious, for all I know. I don't know. She does some weird shit in her novels that inevitably doesn't get adapted into live actions. Not that I'm saying they need to. Because I still don't know what the fuck that bitch was on when she was writing a certain scene with Don't Say No novel, or I guess TharnType, but whatever. I didn't care about literally anything. And one thing I was really confused about was, like, I think it was in, like, episode 2 or 3 or something, or maybe it was 1, where Tongrak was, like, low-key freaking out when Mahasuma, like, was underwater too long. Because, like, did we get an explanation for that? I don't think we did, I don't remember. Because I was under the impression, well, he's freaking out, oh, maybe he had an ex-boyfriend who, like, died this way, or maybe he accidentally drowned or he almost drowned as a kid or something like that. I don't think we got any explanation for that. Which, like, yeah, I'm not saying he could have been like, oh, well, I hope he inevitably gets 6 feet under. But I feel like that just didn't make sense for Tongrak's character, because he didn't, like, he simply did not care about Mahasuma at all in that first episode. He literally wanted nothing to do with him. He was like, get the fuck out of my face. I don't like you. Don't talk to me. You know? You know what I mean? Yeah, so next is Until We Meet Again. Again, this is the same, like, circumstance as the Eclipse. I don't hate the series. I don't think it's the worst thing ever created. I just found it really boring. And I honestly, going to be so real here, could not care less about the main couple. I get it. And what they went through is awful. But the reason I even found out the show existed was because of Boomprem, because I saw one TikTok video of Win Team. This was before Between Us came out. So, I think this was, like, possibly before Between Us. I don't know. This was a while before Between Us dropped. But I think I watched it. I watched it for Win Team. That's the only reason I watched the series. That's the only reason I stay with the series. I will say though, the first episode is a lot. And I think personally that if someone is going to recommend another person the series, they should highly, highly be like, hey, BTW, trigger warning. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know anything about this series, other than I think I maybe read the summary, and this was when I read summaries to BL. I don't do that shit anymore, and which is my own issue, because the amount of times I fuck myself over when I watch shows because I do not, for the life of me, read the summaries or even the tags. Ergo, the shortest distance is round. This is one I read. But I was under the impression when I'm like watching this at like fucking 7 p.m. vibing. I think it was on my computer. Watching this shit on YouTube. And it's just like, boom, first episode. First episode, it's like, boom. Romeo and Juliet. And I'm like, the fuck? Huh? I knew this was reincarnation. I knew that. But I thought that it was going to be like the first half. For some reason. I thought the first half was going to be like Korn and In Touch. Is that their names? I thought the first, like, half the series was going to be like Korn and Vibe and doing their thing. And then, like, something was going to happen. Like, they were going to, like, get in, like, a car accident or something. And it's like, boom, it's like Dean and Parm's turn next. Parm is his name. And then it's just like, oh, well, they're reincarnated. I was so wrong. Because I didn't expect to see within the first, like, 7 minutes, 2 people putting themselves 6 feet under. I was, like, that was a lot. I was like, oh shit. Oh my god, that was so much shit in one episode. Right? And then, and like, for the most part, in BL, I will always prefer the main couple over the side couple. There are the occasions where I like them both equally. Ergo, like we are, with, like, Pumpim being the mains, and then me adoring Tanfang and Chain Pun, where I, like, loved them equally as I did the mains. I feel with, like, Until We Meet Again, I could not give less of a fuck about Dean and Parm. I did not give a fuck. I did not care. I think I skipped a lot of them. This was a case where I liked all of the side characters in general more than the mains. I adored Manao. Loved Win Team. Loved all of the other side characters. Did not care about Parm and Dean at all. I think when I rewatched Until We Meet Again recently, though, I did skip every single Dean Parm scene ever. I like Dean and Parm individually, as people, as characters, more than I do them as a ship. Because, like, I love like the interactions between like Dean, Win, and Peem, whatever his name is. Is it start with the T? Pruck? I was close. Pruck. And I loved, like, the dynamic between, like, Team Parm and Manao. But, like, Dina Parm is a thing, I just didn't care. Like, another Eclipse situation where I understand why people love this series, and I understand why it could be someone's favorite, and I understand why it could mean so much to someone. I just don't like it. I don't think it's good, in my opinion. Now, therefore, I haven't read the novel, and the novel could be amazing. The novel could be better than the series, though I doubt that's a thing, because for the most part, the novels are actually awful. So, like I said, but who knows, maybe this is a case where the novel is absolutely amazing. And I see the mangas for Until We Meet Again, called The Red Thread, I believe, a lot, and I keep thinking about picking it up, but I'm like, but I didn't like the show. I think that's all I had to say about that. This is the shortest yap so far. Next, we'll start off with, like, I don't know, I guess we'll yap about TharnType, since I've mentioned it so much already. I fucking hate the series. I think this is one of the worst TypeBLs to ever be a thing. And I will never understand why people like this series. I will never understand why people like the relationship between Tharn and Type. I will never understand it. I'll never get it. I will never understand it. Because, sure, at first it starts out with, it's like, oh, well, you know, they're roommates. One of them is homophobic for some reason, but we don't know why yet. Not that technically homophobia needs a reason, but in the circumstance it did. And the other one is gay, and he's also in love with his roommate. And it could have been, like, Sweet and Innocent. Mind you, this was my introduction to the main verse. It might have been a lot of people's. I had no idea that, like, Love by Chance was connected to this series. I had zero clue. I watched Love by Chance way after this. I watched Love by Chance after Don't Say No. So, yeah. But at first, the series started out fine. I think in the first episode, it went fine in the first half of episode 1. And then we had Tharn start, like, feeling all up on Type when Type was drunk and unconscious. And I think it would have been different if Type, or if it was like, oh, Tharn's in love with Type, and he kind of just, like, gives him a little kiss on the forehead or something, or, like, a little kiss on the cheek, you know? A little weird still, because you guys aren't in a relationship, but he's just, like, it's different if it was just like, well, Tharn is just, like, a guy in love, he's just a boy in love. But that was not the case here. It was a lot worse than that. But like I said, it would have been different. It was like, little kiss on the forehead, little kiss on the cheek, little, mwah, it's fine, have a good night, I'll sleep in your bed tonight, blah, blah, blah. But no, this bitch is, like, feeling all up on him, like, full on making out with him while he's asleep, and, like, doing crazy shit. And I'm like, what the fuck is, hello? What the fuck? What do you mean? This was also the first time that I watched a TypeBL where SA was a thing in it. Because, for the most part, I was watching, like, really cute, wholesome ones, like, you know, together. Fucking, I think, maybe I've seen Fish Upon a Sky at this point, I'm not sure. Maybe? Not sure. I'm not, whatever. I'm like, you know, like, I'm watching together, like Theory of Love, you know, I think Not Me was airing around this time that I watched the series, and, like, Bad Buddy, you know, so I'm, like, watching this, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then it, like, turns out, well, boom, bitch, it's normalized, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm surprised, I should have figured. But then again, this was the first time I've, like, watched Asian media. So then, it was like, okay, that was a lot, don't do that again. And then, episode 2. I think it was episode 2. Same shit happens. Or whatever. And, like, maybe it wasn't episode 2. I think it was in episode 3, though, was when Tharn basically gave Type. How do I say this to be YouTube friendly? Can I just abbreviate it to BJ? We're gonna abbreviate it to BJ. Without his permission. Just casually just dropped to his knees and did it. And I'm like almost positive that Type said don't do that or stop or something like that. And then we have, which I think might be the most disturbing out of all of the SACs that happen, is when Type is giving himself a hand under the covers. And then it's like weirdly intercut with Tharn drinking his fucking boba. Or his bubble tea. And then he, like, goes into the fucking house, which, like, or the dorm, which you should probably not, bro. And then proceeds to, like, just, like, you know, get on top of Type. And, like, be weird. And, like, start, like, touching all up on him and shit. When Type is literally sobbing and saying, don't hurt me, get off of me. And there's people defending the series. And there's people saying that Tharn isn't an abuser. And there are people saying Type is the problem in the situation. Anyway, so then we have, like, those, like, crazy, wild, uncalled for, unnecessary scenes in, like, the first, like, 3-4 episodes. And then the rest of it is quite literally just, like, pure manipulation and abuse. And, like, emotional torment. And I think a lot of people tend to ignore that the only reason that Type and Tharn are in a relationship is because Tharn basically forced it upon him. And Type was under the impression that he basically owed Tharn to be in a relationship with him. So, because, like, I feel like I get, like, when it comes down to Type going to hook up with the girl, because I'm going to state this here because this is also ignored. Type is not gay. Type is bisexual with a preference for women. Unless it says something else in the novel, but the novels are irrelevant to me, so I don't care. But to me, in the series, Type is not gay. He is a bisexual man with a preference for women who does find attraction to men. Unfortunately, the only man that he's attracted to, though, is his abuser. But anyway, so we get to a point where it's like Type going to hook up with the girl, but then he's like, I can't do this because I'm, like, I wanna be with my roommate, and he goes and he, like, gets into bed with Type, or with Tharn, and Tharn is being a bitch to him and ignoring him, and, like, yeah, sure, I understand maybe if this was, like, a whole case where it was, like, where they were just, like, hooking up, and we didn't have, like, all of this consistent, like, assault, like, SA, and everything, like, I understand, like, I think Tharn being mad at Type would be valid, but I don't think Tharn is valid in anything he does because he's an offender. He's an he's an SAer. He SA'd his roommate 3 times and probably more. You know, I could be forgetting some things. Again, I've only seen the series once in, like, 2022. So, you know, and Tharn, or Type, like, curling up next to Tharn, and Tharn, like, taking his headphones out, and they're talking about whatever the fuck it was, I don't remember. And Type is, like, on the verge of tears, and he's like, I didn't sleep with her, as if he needs to explain anything to Tharn ever. And they, like, he starts, like, they're, like, doing whatever, and then Tharn is like, oh, do you think if you sleep with me, this is gonna make up for what you did, or whatever the fuck the conversation is? And Type goes, this is the only way I know how. Are we, why, that is quite, I feel like that is textbook, like, abuse. Like, I feel like that is textbook, like, like abuse, you know? The only way I know how to make up with you is if I sleep with you. And then we have, like, the whole situation with Sand, or San, whatever the fuck his name is, later on in the series, once they're, like, in a relationship, I believe. And San is, like, consistently flirting with Tharn, and might I add, Tharn is letting this happen. And, like, yeah, I'm all here for the, oh, my boyfriend is, like, I am not necessarily the biggest fan of the whole I don't want anyone to know we're dating kind of thing, right? But I'm also not necessarily opposed to it, because I do know that is a thing that happens, and I do understand that, like, people have this kind of fear of, like, not being accepted. I watched my fair share of queer media with this thing, right? Sometimes it's done really weird, sometimes it's done wrong, sometimes it's done right. Okay? I would say, like, Heartstopper, I guess is an example. I think that whole, like, I don't want anyone to know about us is, like, done right. But then we have, like, Eyewitness, which is, like, a 2016, like, true crime queer show, where it's done horribly wrong. You know? And it's like the jock is in love with the quiet kid who no one likes and always bullies. And they're, like, actually in a relationship, but in front of everyone, he has to pretend he hates him. Like, Lucas is out here, like, decking Philip in the face in that show. Right? Like, Heartstopper, they're not doing that shit. Right? And, like, they're not to compare, like, I'm not trying to compare them, but, like, they're doing everything here. Right? Where it's like, oh, I don't want anything to know about us, which I don't mind. I feel like that's quite common in the BLs I've seen. Not recently, but when I was, like, watching these for the first time, you know, when I was, like, getting into BL, this was, like, a lot of the things that was happening. But it was not done super, like, wrong, you know what I mean? Like, it's done horribly in this series, but it was fine in Together. Was there something like this in Together? I think there was. I think Tyne was like, I don't want anyone to know about us, at least not yet, or something. I could be wrong. I do not know. I haven't watched Together in a few years. Right, you know, or, like, in Bad Buddy, because it was, like, mutually, like, we can't let anyone know about us because our parents are horrible. You know? But anyway. It's, like, done so bad in the series. And it's like Tharn is intentionally, like, he's letting Sand flirt with him and do these things just to get a rise, necessarily, out of Type, which is, like, a very fucked up thing to do. Like, yeah, you can do the whole, you know, I feel like, this, like, specifically, this dynamic specifically, where it's like, I don't want anyone to know about us, blah, blah, blah. I feel like it would have been perfectly fine. I mean, the series still would have been bad anyway, because we still have had, like, the consistent essay in it. But, like, at least in this scene, it could have been, like, because, like, Tharn is intentionally trying to get well, I guess Sans, but Tharn's, like, not telling him to stop. Sand is, like, trying to get a rise out of Type, so Type can out himself. Because, like, I hate to break it to you, Sand. I hate to break it to you, Tharn. Not everyone is okay with coming out immediately. Especially someone who has just recently, freshly come to the conclusion that they're into men, when their entire life they've been scared of men. Gay men specifically, because of something they went through as a child. Which, that is also a whole thing that fans ignore in the series. Is that Type was he was, like, 11 or 12 when he was he was essayed by a grown man. He was hurt as a child by a gay man. Or maybe not gay, but queer man. Okay? Okay? Which is the only reason that type is homophobic. If that didn't happen to him as a kid, I don't think he would have been homophobic. You know? I don't think it would have been that bad. But no. We have San trying having Type forcibly out himself. Type outs himself and he's like, actually me and Tharn are boyfriends. And Santa's like, my job here is done. But Tharn is getting mad at Type because Type won't let him explain like what the fuck is going on. Like Type's not letting him explain that, oh, I'm not actually cheating on you. You know, but Tharn does the exact same shit in the second season where he does not let Type explain to him that he's not actually cheating on him. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's also the consistent manipulation in the relationship is crazy. It's like Tharn mentions wanting to get married. Type is like, I don't know if I'm down for that yet. And then Tharn is like salty about it. And like, I get being like, oh, like, why would I really want to marry you one day? Like, you're the love of my life. Like, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. But to get mad because your man, you guys have been together for barely a year. To get mad about that is genuinely crazy. Like, what the fuck? Like, crazy work. Okay, so this is editing, Onyx. This video is gonna be really fucking long, so I figured I would just cut it here. But I filmed the entire thing, and there was an intro and everything. But yeah, so again, my name is Sage Onyx, hater and hater. You can call me Trevor of the Four. My socials are down below. And eat, drink water, take your meds if you need to. Have a good day, evening, morning, afternoon, night, and I'll see you in part 2.